I like to try a few different cameras and a few different things to work with. And because I don't have a lot of money, I like to spend my money on travel and doing other stuff. I tend to buy and then sell some secondhand stuff. And just the other day, I ran across a package deal with some old cameras with some lenses that I really wanted. I'm sort of trying to expand my Micro Four Thirds setup a little bit at the moment, and I found a kit with some lenses I really wanted and a couple of older cameras that I didn't really want. But it was such a good deal with the lenses that I ended up buying the whole package deal, and now I've got two older Panasonic cameras, Micro Four Thirds cameras that I can do a little bit of a retro style review on. Back to the past, we can call it, and I can sort of try them and see just how far we've come in the last 10, 11, or 12 years, and just what it was like trying to film with some of the older equipment. I've really liked the Micro Four Thirds system, and I've been invested in it since the very, very beginning. I actually bought a Panasonic G1 on the 1st or the 2nd of January in 2009. I was there in Oslo celebrating New Year, and I happened to see a camera for sale in a local camera store, and they weren't really available in Sweden easily yet, so I actually bought one. So I've been invested in the Micro Four Thirds system since the very, very beginning, and I've tried a number of different cameras in a number of different situations, from everything from traveling and stills to video. At the moment, I'm exploring more the video side of things, and I am hoping to eventually get a G9 Mark II in the beginning of this year, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, one camera that I haven't owned before is a Panasonic GH1, the camera that started it all, basically. The first camera that had proper video functions, even though by today's standard they were very rudimentary and you couldn't really do much and change much. It was a camera that really kick-started the GH line for Panasonic, and they developed all their cameras from that, and they're now, well, I think they're pretty much regarded as one of the current camera brands with the best video features in their hybrid style mirrorless cameras. The camera I picked up was this one, GH1. It's a really old camera. It came out in 2009, and by today's standard, it is pretty limited. It only does HD and very sort of limited number of things you can change. You basically can't change anything. But I was quite interested to get it. It's going to be quite interesting to try to use it in 2024 and see what it's like. So I'm going to now go out and try to do a few things with this camera. I'm going to try the photography stuff, how the stills are, and then I'm also going to try to film a few things to see what sort of quality we get out of these old cameras. I mean, you can pick them up for next to nothing. So if you're just learning how to film, it could be a good way to get started. And for me, it's just a bit of a nostalgia trip back to 2009, and we'll just see what the state of video was back then. But now it's time to head out and see what this little beauty can do. So I threw a lens on the camera, went out for a walk, and took a few photos to start with. And it was a pretty grey, dismal, dreary day, so I wasn't really expecting all that much, but I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised. Apart from the resolution, it's only a 12 megapixel camera, I really found that the results were better than I expected. I even used it in some poor light and at night and heading to and from work, and generally it was a pleasant little easy camera to use for photography. I then decided to try the video functions, and I mean, there's not a lot you can change on this camera. Basically, you just set it up and then you set the exposure and off you go. And even in reasonably harsh light, where the limited dynamic range of the smaller sensor should have been a problem, I was quite pleased with the results. All the video examples you see here are straight out of camera without really anything done at all. So it worked. It worked quite well, and I really have to say, for the price of this camera, you can get them for next to nothing at the moment. It's an excellent camera to learn with, and to learn to take photos, to learn to film with, and for anybody that's on a limited budget that still wants to produce something that's better than an iPhone and you have more control on focus and things like that. I really highly recommend it. I did try it in even some worse light situations, and basically I really have to say that I like what it produced more than I thought I would, really. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to use it for a long time because I decided to get out of the Micro Four Thirds system. And even if I'd bought this camera as part of a package and I was always intending to get rid of it, I started selling my Micro Four Thirds lenses and this camera, another camera I had, in order to invest in a full frame Panasonic system instead. But that's another whole price range and a lot more expensive than this camera. So for anyone wanting to start out, learn how to use a video camera and experiment a little bit, GH1 from 2009 is still a really, really strong proposition.